Big moves are brewing in Dallas, and if you're a Cowboys fan, it's officially time to sit up straight. Things are changing, and fast. Let's dive into one of the biggest pieces of good news for the defense this season. DeMarvion Overshown is back. After missing time due to injury, Overshown has officially opened up his 21-day practice window, signaling his return is not just close, it's imminent. We're talking about a guy who brings speed, energy, and instinct to a defense that, while talented, has been searching for some consistency. His activation means he'll most likely be suiting up right after the bye week, with that Monday Night Football matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders circled as a probable return date. That's prime time, under the lights, and the perfect stage for a comeback. And look, the Cowboys' defense is already starting to find a rhythm, especially after the way they stepped up against Washington. Yes, people will point fingers at the Commanders being shorthanded at wide receiver, but let's not act like Dallas was fully loaded either. Missing key starters in the secondary and even digging into third-string depth at safety, they still held it down. This was a unit that's taken heat for giving up too many points in recent weeks, and while 22 on the scoreboard might not scream dominance, it was a massive step in the right direction. The defense flew around, made plays, and responded. And now, Overshown is set to join that mix? That's a win. But the Overshown update is just the start. There's another name that's getting Cowboys Nation buzzing, Jonathan Mingo. After being on injured reserve, Mingo is expected to make his way back onto the active roster. Stephen Jones even confirmed he'll be competing for snaps. And listen, this wide receiver room has gotten spicy. This is no longer the Dak Prescott era of the past, where we were scraping the bottom of the barrel for playmakers. This time, there are too many weapons. And that's a good problem to have. But let's be real. Someone's going to lose snaps, and I have a suggestion. Jalen Tolbert? It might be time for him to take a step back. Let's talk facts. Ryan Flournoy has outperformed Tolbert this year, period. Whether it's as a receiver or helping in the run game, Flournoy has brought more juice to the field. And now you're going to throw Jonathan Mingo into the mix, a guy with legit size, speed, and physicality? The wide receiver 3 and 4 roles should belong to Flournoy and Mingo, no question. Let Tolbert hold down that wide receiver 5 spot and be a locker room presence. If he wants to stick around for a team-friendly deal, great. But performance has to dictate playing time, and right now, Mingo and Flournoy are the guys who look ready to contribute. As president of the Jonathan Mingo fan club, I've got my eyes locked on his return, and I expect him to make some serious noise. Now, shifting gears to what might be the weirdest situation unfolding in Dallas, the Trevon Diggs mystery. It's bizarre. Jerry Jones was asked about what exactly happened to Diggs, and honestly, his answer raised more questions than it answered. Jerry essentially said he's not totally buying the story, that Diggs might not be the most reliable narrator of his own situation. And look, when your team owner says, you're not always the best viewer of what happened to you, that's something. It feels like there's a disconnect between the front office and the player here. Whether Diggs gave them a story about something falling and hitting him in the head or something else entirely, the vibe is clear, they're not convinced. And when you look at where this defense is heading, it raises the question, do they even need Diggs anymore? Younger guys are stepping up. Josh Butler, Kalen Carson, and Savion Redwell are all getting healthy and ready to go. Sure, they might not have the name recognition, but at this point, can we honestly say Diggs is the same player he was 3 years ago? His peak might be behind him. And while that's not easy to admit, sometimes teams have to make hard decisions. The Cowboys' defense is evolving, and they may have to move on from players who aren't aligning with the current direction. Now let's get into some of the more subtle, but no less important, changes we saw in the last game. Snap counts and rotations. One of the most noticeable shifts came at the defensive end position. Sam Williams, who had been getting more work in previous weeks, saw his second lowest snap share of the entire season. He played just 28 snaps after back-to-back games in the high 30s. That's a clear indication the coaching staff saw something that made them rethink their plan. In his place, Donovan Ezaraku saw a big jump in reps, and even Jadeveon Clowney outsnapped Dante Fowler Jr. Clowney is slowly climbing the depth chart and may now be a key rotational piece moving forward. The secondary had its own shakeups too. Trick Bridges got extended action, while Raydell Stewart, who many felt had been playing well, didn't get a single snap. Khair Elam, who had been in the doghouse, suddenly played every single defensive snap. That's a massive swing and could signal a full reset in how the staff views their cornerback rotation. At safety, Maris Bell played every down, and the entire group looked sharper. Yes, Washington dropped a few passes, but the Dallas secondary kept everything in front of them, played tight coverage, and didn't allow explosive plays. Even with Donovan Wilson continuing to look shaky, the unit as a whole looked more disciplined. But what really stood out were the schematic adjustments. Dallas went from playing zone on nearly every down to man coverage on about half of their snaps. That's a massive philosophical shift. And the blitzes? They were flying. Five-man pressures were all over the place, and it gave this defense a much-needed spark. This wasn't just about Washington being undermanned. This was about Dallas dictating the terms of engagement. And while the coaching staff insists this was game plan specific, it's hard to argue with the results. Maybe it's time to lean more into that aggressiveness. And here's where things get even more exciting. There's real smoke around Dallas being active in the trade market. According to reports, they've been making calls and sniffing around for help, especially on defense. Linebackers, defensive tackles, safeties, it all seems to be on the table. Jerry Jones even hinted that by the time Overshown is back, they might have another piece added to the puzzle. And then you had that moment in the post-game presser where a team insider was asked point-blank if the Cowboys were still working on trades. The response? Just one word. Yes. No hesitation. No PR spin. Just confirmation. This isn't the Cowboys team of old, folks. This is not the 2008 version of Jerry sitting on his hands while the league moves around him. This front office is acting with urgency. This coaching staff is experimenting. This roster is deep. And this team knows it has a window that might not stay open forever. You've got a quarterback who's healthy and producing, a defense that's finally adjusting, and a front office that's actively trying to plug the remaining holes. This feels different because it is different. And if the way the Cowboys are moving doesn't convince you, just listen to the players, the staff, and the atmosphere around the facility. There's a noticeable change in energy, a feeling that this season isn't just about making the playoffs, it's about pushing for something bigger. For years, fans have been stuck in a cycle of false hope, only to get let down in January. But this year, the urgency is real. You can see it in the way they've adapted on defense. You can hear it in how they talk about their expectations. And now, you can literally feel it in the way the front office is approaching the trade market. These aren't just rumors floating around for clicks. These are real conversations, real decisions being made. And whether or not a deal gets done before the deadline, the Cowboys are clearly trying to fortify this roster for a deep playoff run. Let's talk a bit more about where they're looking. The middle of the defense continues to be a concern, even with signs of improvement. That linebacker room needs help, period. The loss of Leighton Vander Esch and the time DeMarvion Overshown missed can't be ignored. Damone Clark has stepped up in flashes, but he's still developing. And while Marquise Bell is doing everything he can as a hybrid linebacker safety, that position needs more stability. The Cowboys know it, and that's why they're targeting someone who can come in and contribute right away. Whether it's a seasoned veteran or a younger player with upside, they're hunting for someone who can handle the grind down the stretch. And let's not overlook the interior defensive line. Yes, the edges have been a strength. Micah Parsons is still a game wrecker, and DeMarcus Lawrence continues to be one of the most underrated players in the league. But inside, the Cowboys have been inconsistent. Too often, they get gashed up the middle or fail to generate inside pressure when it matters most. The addition of a strong defensive tackle could be the final piece to making this front seven dominant. It's not just about stuffing the run anymore. It's about collapsing the pocket, forcing quarterbacks off their spot, and disrupting timing. Dallas is looking for guys who can do that. And while they may be getting healthy in the secondary, that doesn't mean they're not exploring options there too. The situation with Trevon Diggs still lingers, and even though some young corners are stepping up, depth is everything, especially late in the season when injuries pile up. Bringing in another safety or versatile corner who can rotate in and out would not only ease the pressure on the starters, but also give Dan Quinn more flexibility with his packages. The move to play more man coverage last week showed what this group could be, but it also exposed how thin they can get if someone goes down. That's why they're shopping. That's why calls are being made. Let's also go back to one of the more interesting changes we saw against Washington, how the defense was deployed and how the snap counts were managed. The coaching staff isn't afraid to shake things up anymore. You saw guys like Sam Williams, who was trending up, suddenly have his role scaled back. Not because he's bad, but because they're fine-tuning the rotation based on matchups and performance. Donovan Ezaraku's rise in snaps didn't come out of nowhere. He's earned it, and now he's being trusted with more responsibility. The same goes for Jadeveon Clowney, who looks like he's finally settling into a groove and carving out a consistent role. In the secondary, we talked about Kare Elam's reemergence, but that was just part of the story. Maris Bell playing every snap at safety wasn't just a move born out of necessity. It was a calculated decision. The defense looked more cohesive with him out there. You can argue about how much Washington's limited receiver group played into that, but Bell brought stability. He communicated, tackled well, and played his assignments. And when you add in the more aggressive play calling, more man, more blitzes, you start to get a glimpse of what this defense could look like if all the pieces fall into place. But again, this all ties back to the mindset shift within the Cowboys organization. This isn't the same old story. For the first time in a long time, it feels like Dallas isn't just reacting to problems, they're anticipating them. They're not waiting until things fall apart to fix something. They're identifying weaknesses early and going out to solve them. Whether it's changing how they rotate players on defense, looking to the trade market, or tweaking the scheme to suit matchups, it all shows a level of awareness and intent that's been missing for years. This is not a passive football team anymore. They're proactive, and that makes them dangerous. On offense, the return of Jonathan Mingo could add yet another wrinkle. Dak Prescott already is one of the deepest receiving groups in the league, and now you're telling him he might get another big, fast, physical target to work with? That's trouble for defenses. And while it's going to take some work to figure out the snap distribution, this is a luxury the Cowboys haven't had in a long time. Mingo doesn't need to be a superstar right away. He just needs to carve out a role, make plays when his number is called, and force the coaching staff to keep him on the field. And if that means guys like Tolbert have to take a step back, so be it. This team is trying to win now. Before we roll on, subscribe to Cowboys Wire News, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Your support keeps the Dallas Cowboys updates coming. Tell us what you think in the comments. Whispers have been circulating through the NFL grapevine, and if the latest rumors hold even a shred of truth, the Dallas Cowboys are on the verge of a blockbuster acquisition that could reshape the league. Marvin Harrison Jr., the electrifying wide receiver who has dazzled fans and scouts alike during his time with the Arizona Cardinals, is reportedly heading to Dallas. Sources close to team insiders suggest that the Cowboys front office has been in intense discussions with Harrison Jr.'s camp, fueling speculation that the star receiver may soon don the silver and blue. Harrison Jr., known for his jaw-dropping speed, precise route running, and uncanny ability to make contested catches, has been a household name in NFL circles since his breakout season with the Cardinals. His presence on the field has often forced defenses into impossible situations, turning ordinary drives into highlight reels and instantly elevating the teams he plays for. For the Cowboys, already a team with championship aspirations, adding a talent of Harrison Jr.'s caliber could be the missing piece that finally pushes them over the edge in a fiercely competitive NFC. While neither team has officially confirmed the deal, whispers around NFL training facilities and social media chatter suggest that the move could be imminent. Fans have already begun speculating about how Harrison Jr. will fit into Dallas' offensive scheme, imagining the star receiver lining up alongside existing weapons and creating one of the league's most feared aerial attacks. Analysts are quick to point out that the Cowboys quarterback would suddenly have a new go-to target capable of changing games in a single play, potentially forcing rival defenses to rethink their strategies entirely. Of course, rumors in the NFL are as common as turnovers in the red zone, and until a formal announcement is made, caution is warranted. Yet, the excitement surrounding Marvin Harrison Jr.'s potential move to Dallas is palpable, and if it materializes, it could signal a new era for the Cowboys, a team hungry to assert its dominance and hungry for headlines. Fans are already buzzing, anticipating press conferences, sneak peek practice reports, and, most importantly, that first game where Harrison Jr. takes the field in Cowboys colors. Until then, all anyone can do is watch, speculate, and imagine the electrifying plays that could soon light up AT&T Stadium. That's a wrap from Cowboys Wire News. For breaking Cowboys updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Tell us your take in the comments.